Hey everybody, KC here. So I have a confession to make. I'm a Wordle fanatic. And the thing is, I really like Wordle, partially because it's so contained. And if you don't know what Wordle is, basically it's a game. It's owned by the New York Times. They bought it last year. And the idea is you get 6 chances to guess a 5-letter word. And I like it because it's very, very contained. You can only play it once a day. And this prevents me from getting addicted. It's also very simple, and it doesn't take a ton of time. Like, I don't have nearly the attention span to do a crossword puzzle or a jigsaw puzzle. That stuff's like it demands way too much of me. This I like very, very much. And I play it pretty much every morning. It's kind of a way to get my brain going. Mrs. Content Guy plays it too. One of our kids plays it. And we always kind of compare scores. It's not a competition, but it's fun to sort of see where it's going. And I've got a streak right now of about almost 200 in a row. So I'm doing pretty well. But I'm talking about it today, not because it's Wordle, but because we've also been having a lot of conversations here on Morning Newsbeat lately about things like AI and ChatGPT and all that sort of stuff. One of the interesting things about Wordle that the New York Times has done is it created what it's calling WordleBot, right? And the idea is after you've completed Wordle, you can actually go in and it'll look at how you answered it, how you completed it, and then compare it to how it would have done, how it did under the same circumstances. But it's a computer, right? It's a software program. So the idea is it's really hard to beat it. And it's gotten me thinking about things like AI lately because of some of the answers that it offers. Now, down below, you're going to see a completed Wordle from this week. I'm not giving anything away. It's already been out. You couldn't go back and do it. And I got it in 4 tries. Right? I got it in 4 tries, and the answer was Apple. But what was interesting to me was how I approached it versus how WordleBot approached it. So my first guess was gator. And some people will always use the same opening word. I tend to just kind of be looking at the newspaper. I'll see a 5-letter word, preferably with 2 vowels, and I'll choose it. So I chose gator, and the A was the only letter that was in the answer, and I had it in the wrong place. Is why it's in yellow. Okay, so I had a second chance, and I chose Champ, C-H-A-M-P. Well, I found out that there's also a P in it, but I've got the A and the P in the wrong place. So I had to do another one. My third guess was apply. I found out that the A-P-P-L were in the right place. Y was wrong. Then I went to Apple. So I got it in 4 guesses. What was interesting to me was when you go into WordleBot, it analyzes each of your guesses. For example, I said gator, and they said it's a strong opening guess. Unfortunately, today it was unlucky. 244 words in my dictionary could still be the solution. Okay, so I'm not very close, although I do have 1 letter. Then I made my second guess, which was champ. And it says champ was a good guess, but slice would have been more efficient. Now, I'm thinking to myself, slice may have been more efficient, but why would I choose slice? It doesn't even have an A in it. And the A was the 1 letter that I knew I had. And then I did apply, and it said, although apply left only 1 possible solution, which was the right one, some of this was luck. Well, frankly, most of it is luck. Then it says, if the solution had been pilaf, there still would have been 4 words to choose from. But it wasn't pilaf. But you've narrowed it down to 1 possible solution. You should solve the puzzle on your next turn, and I did. Well done. But I still keep going back to the fact that I chose champ because I wanted to see where the A went, and I wanted to try other letters I hadn't used yet. And they suggested slice would have been more efficient. What this tells me is they're just thinking strategically in a way I'm not. They know there's got to be an A, but they want to try other letters to see what else there is and how to mix it up on the theory that you're going to choose other things and it's going to give you you're going to come at the solution from a different direction. Interesting though, Mrs. Content Guy will sometimes do that. She'll make a subsequent choice which doesn't have any of the letters that she's already knows she's got. Just to see if she can use up more vowels and more consonants. Just helps her get there. I've never done that, but on the other hand, I've got a pretty good streak going. But I'm fascinated by the fact that the computer thinks differently than I think. I'm thinking in a very linear fashion. Not everybody does it that way, but that's how I'm thinking of it. The computer, oddly enough, is thinking in a much more strategic fashion. And it's doing things I would never conceive of doing. Now, I don't know that that means that computers are always going to think in a more strategic fashion. I tend to think of computers being more tactical, and the strategy has to come from the person who's using it. But maybe that's not the case. I mean, it's a great lesson, I think, in terms of business, right? It's important to be tactical. I tend to be very tactical when I'm thinking about Wordle. But there are strategic approaches you can take which have you coming around to the solution, whatever the problem happens to be, from a completely different direction. Listen, all these things have value, both in Wordle and when it comes to business, frankly, when it comes to life. But I'm intrigued by the fact that I'm thinking about it one way, the computer's thinking about it in a completely different way. And yet, by the way, when you look at how they say they would have gotten to it, they would have gotten into it in 4 tries too, same as me. We just came at it from different directions. Listen, there's a lot to consider here when we think about ChatGPT, when you think about AI and how solutions are going to be reached and what role computers are going to play versus what humans are going to play. But I think it's important to keep in mind that sometimes we'll be doing it the same way. Sometimes we'll be coming at it completely different directions. We've got to figure out what the right balance is. Something to think about. Anyway, that's what's on my mind this morning. And as always, I want to hear what's on your mind.